This is Providence Television International, the game changer. Stand by for the next program.
Good morning and welcome to the newspaper analysis session on the morning drive. We thank God, quite another weekend. I don't know, people are always looking up to the weekends. Well, in the studio with me this morning to discuss the papers analysis we have with me Dr. Emmanuel Hegariva. You're welcome.
Well, thank you very much. Thank God it's Friday. It's another weekend. And I want to say a very special hello to our Muslim viewers at home and abroad. You can see the way I'm dressed now.
Exactly.
It makes all the difference. So here we are. Nice to see you again.
Exactly. It really makes all the difference. My name is Ubebo Ikekwa. I'm moving straight to the Nigerian Tribune, where we have on the front page, Tinubu to terrorists, bandits. Surrender or face renewed military onslaught. Poverty, unemployment, contributory causes of insecurity in the Sahel. This is coming from Abdulsalabi Abubakar. And then multi-dimensional approach needed to address insecurity. This is coming from the Chief of Defense Staff.
Well, this issue has been on for a long time, but it must not endure. That's my worry. Why should it endure? We've had it for close to 8, maybe 10 years, and it's the same old story. And Nigerians are getting really very apprehensive. Okay, but it's all about political will, really, to be able to tackle this onslaught against the people. Innocent citizens of this country, we've lost a lot of very precious lives, okay, and that's very painful. Lives that could have been on the farms, lives that were wasted just because they couldn't give out the ransom needed. So it is very painful. But let's see what the president has in mind. He's off to Europe now on holiday, and I think that when he comes back, there will be a change. Many people have said that we should always rejig, that word again, we should rejig the architecture of defense forces. Yes, that's true. But what of the will? The will to do what the president has just said, that their days are numbered, the terrorist days are numbered. These are not things you tackle with just word of mouth. There must be concerted efforts, there must be serious action, and these actions must be discernible, all right? Because those bandits or terrorists, they are not resting. You drive them from one point, they go to another point. But as I said, maybe we'll discuss it. I understand that we are discussing the issue of security. But it's just enough to say that, yes, the president must do as he has said.
Yeah, the president must do as he has said. Just before we move over to the next item, if the president has to do what he has said, we have a case that is actually lingering now, where you have somebody, a minister who is supposed to be in charge of defense, being accused of having ties with bandits.
Yes, I thought we said this before. I can't remember exactly when, but I think it was last week or something. I mentioned it that, yes, in this country, a lot of strange things happen. Somebody who's been accused of having ties with terrorists and is a member of the executive.
Yes.
That is strange and actually it's very absurd. And I think that a lot ought to have been done to ask basic questions. Let's ask the fellow basic questions. That means let's open up the space for us to know exactly what has happened. Yes, until that is done, nobody will take the government serious. No, nobody.
Well, still on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, court bars VIO from confiscating vehicles, imposing fines.
Please say that again. Let's say it again.
On the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, court bars VIO from confiscating vehicles and imposing fines.
Who are the VIOs? Vehicle Inspection Officers.
Yeah.
Should that be their responsibility? Maybe yes, maybe no. But that means that the police have been given a lot of powers. But don't forget that FRC too, they have the powers to impound vehicles once they create room for infractions. All right, maybe next week we even talk about this because we have a program called FRC Alpha.
Yeah.
All right, so, but yes, maybe government is doing it right. Motorists should be able to tell where it pinches. Will it be the police? Will it be the VIOs? But I think in this country we have a lot of gray areas that need to be covered. A lot of organizations at cross purposes.
Exactly.
They work at cross purposes.
Yes.
So we must redefine. There are different roles. That's the problem. All right. So, and it's left for government to work things out. This is just probably just the beginning. We have a lot of organizations. You don't think, and there are too many uniformed people in this country. Too many. If you go to some states, you have as many as 4 or 5 different people, different sets of people wearing different kinds of uniform, all doing perhaps the same kind of job. So there must be uniformity in terms of responsibilities and roles played by each of these organizations. Yes.
All right. Well, we'll give you an update. We already have that story waiting for our news on the hour coming up by 1. So stay tuned that you get details as regards court bars, VIO from confiscating vehicles. We'll move over to the front page of the Daily Trust, where we have federal government targets more revenue from taxes as Tinubu sends 4 bills to National Assembly to rename Federal Inland Revenue, that is the FIRS, and capture cryptocurrency.
Revenue from taxes. Many countries around the world, they are cutting down on taxes. And I don't think they are doing anything strange, really. I think what government is doing, I mean the federal government now, they're trying to bring many more people within the tax web. But let's look at what Nigerians are going through at the moment.
Okay.
Vis-a-vis the issue of petroleum price hike and a few other things. I mean, the standard of living is very low now. So if you add more taxes, that means you're increasing the pains of the people. I hope the National Assembly, again, that's the duty of the National Assembly, really. These are bills being presented to the legislature. And I hope they don't become what people see them to be, near rubber stamp. You must look at bills on their merit. Yes, even if you belong to the same party, it doesn't matter really. But you are looking at the national interest first. That's what I think they should look at. All right? So I expect that they must look at the pros and cons of this and ensure that at the end is for the benefit of Nigerians.
Exactly. Talking about looking at the pros and cons, would this be a case of robbing Peter to pay Paul, where we'll have a reduction in VAT in some commodities to come in, and then you don't want to push, you're now talking about adding more taxes to some
Exactly.
other.
You are removing from one place and you're adding to another. In fact, that's what even happened in the case of, you remember, in the case of the salary increase.
Exactly.
You push it up to 70, and the next day, maybe 2 days after, you are increasing the price of fuel.
Well, yeah.
So there is, it's quite strange. The labor is crying out now.
Exactly.
And I tell them, don't cry out, because when you should have cried, you did not cry. So they shouldn't. And this is one of those instances.
Talking about labor, immediately after this break, we'll take a look at what labor has to say as regards minimum wage. Don't go away. Thanks for staying tuned. If you're just joining in, this is the newspaper analysis segment on the Morning Drive Providence Television International. We'll be moving straight to the Vanguard newspapers, where we have minimum wage disquiet as federal government makes selective payment. Labor leaders say government is insensitive to the suffering of workers. There's also a rider to that effect. Workers lament hardship. Many sleep in offices, trek to work due to high transport costs.
Well, does this surprise many people? And I think it shouldn't. First of all, the labor movement worked itself into a trap. I'm happy they even said it. Some time ago, Ajero said it, that if they had known, they would not have gone into all of these transactions. Because where I think they missed it was when it was announced on Inauguration Day that there was going to be a price hike based on the removal of subsidy. That's when they ought to have reacted. But they did not. And look at it now. Fuel price on the one hand, increase in salary on the other hand. What has happened? Well, they say it's a betrayal. A betrayal, but I don't think so. Because they opened their eyes to walk into this. Selective payment, I don't know. Excuse me. I've not read the body of that story. But if they say selective, that means some people are paid, some are not paid.
Yes.
All right? But it was supposed to be across board. And even the pensioners, they must be part of this. They must partake in this. I'm a pensioner, for instance, and I expect that my pension should also rise. Okay? Based on this arrangement.
Yes.
So, but let's look at it. People sleep in offices. Has it come to that? People trek to offices, yes. But whether they sleep in offices, but I think that the Vanguard is not the kind of newspaper that does not say the way it is.
Exactly.
Right? It's a very well respected newspaper. And for them to have come out, it's a banner headline.
Exactly.
By the way.
Yes.
And that means they know what they are talking about. If people now sleep in their offices, that is a huge cause for worry. It's a huge cause for worry. Edo State is already paying 70,000, I think. So we haven't seen anything of that nature. But for the federal government, that might just be another emergency in the making. Because when people begin to sleep in their offices, it means that they have abandoned their homes.
Yes.
So it is safer for them. They will probably have their bath in the morning and then they report to office again. But that is not what it's supposed to be. Taking that story for what it is. Transportation, yes. I should wish that the federal government should just bring more than enough vehicles into all the states to cushion the effects. More than enough. But what do we find now? Promises and promises and promises. The state government, my main worry is, what of the state government? Many of them are not willing.
They're not willing at all.
No, they are not.
They're not,
because they know their resources. They are not willing. But what is even more painful is that why people are struggling now to get 70,000, the lifestyle of the political class has not changed. It has not. And people see them. You know, the kind of cars they ride, the kind of lifestyle generally, the kind of houses and mansions and villas that they are putting up. People are watching. And I have often said it, that they must be on the same page with the people. If the people are suffering, as they are doing now, then the gap must be closed. But the gap is getting wider. The gulf, not even the gap. There's a big chasm. And I suppose that's not good enough for body politic. All right? It's not good for our psyche as a people. It's not even good for social development. Because what is happening now is that the rich is getting richer while the poor is getting poorer. You know, and this is the kind of situation that makes room for all kinds of upheavals. And I pray we don't experience such.
Well, talking about upheavals, the front page of the Daily Independent, universities on verge of shutting down over hardship. ASU laments, says most universities pay 300 million naira for electricity monthly. The ASU is also saying that government only gives 15 million naira for overhead monthly.
Honestly, I'll tell you this. Honestly, I don't know how the universities are surviving. I don't know. Incidentally, I was at a public lecture, inaugural lecture, some time ago at the University of Benin, and the Vice Chancellor, Professor Lillian Salami, mentioned this.
Okay.
She was lamenting. It was a huge crowd of eminent people. She was lamenting that she was going through a siege by way of electricity bill. What is even so painful is that they are in a special what do they call it now?
A quota where you have
yes, they are paying special
yes.
fees or whatever.
Exactly.
And they need not be there. because it's more of social service, come to think of it. She lamented. I pitied the woman that day because she said it loud and clear that all that they have is going for electricity bills. And that is why the University of Benin was closed down some time ago. And many more universities followed. That's what ASU is talking about now. And this is the kind of thing that shouldn't even arise in the first place, because the university system and virtually all the universities. Now, look at this. The University of Benin chief executive, that's the vice chancellor. She's also the chairman of vice chancellors in the country. So they discuss.
Exactly.
Yes, that lady. They discuss about all of this, and they must all be on the same platform because they are all public institutions. Even the state-owned universities are not left out. They are part of it. Okay? So the solution to that would be, can they, if it was possible, can they generate their own power within the university system?
Okay.
This is where I task the university authorities. If they can, why not? The engineers should do one or two things to be sure that they can generate, some power to service the university community. After all, the university is supposed to be a kind of city, on its own. We talk of town and gown, if you remember. So they are not just for learning, they're also for research. Let universities now go into research as to how to create power supply, how to create power for universities to use. This is a big challenge, particularly for those in engineering. This is the time for them to put all their energies, mental energies, to work. If the federal government cannot solve their problem. Necessity, they say, is the mother of invention. But ASU is making a good, it's a good report. For example, they are saying that the university system might soon collapse. And if it does, who are the losers? As I've always said, the losers are on two prongs. The students on one hand, and then, of course, the parents. All right? Many parents cannot send their children or wards to private universities for obvious reasons. Some private universities are charging as much as 5 million per student. I'm not even talking of universities outside the country. Only the elite, political elite, can do that. Who are they? The woman is frying akara. She's probably a widow. The husband is gone. She's frying akara by the roadside. She's managing to put resources together to send her children to school. And the children are doing well. Now, for no fault of theirs, they are going to drop out. They will drop out if the university system collapses. Meanwhile, the poor woman has no money to send that brilliant son of hers to a private university. And there are thousands of people like that. When I am thinking that right now, school fees, tuition fees, universities, public universities should be at the lowest, so that university education can be made available to poor people. Yes, to poor people, peasants, civil servants who are down on the ladder, on the rungs of the ladder. If we don't do that, then we are creating room for upheaval and anarchy.
All right, just before we go, what's your take on government only gives 15 million naira for overhead monthly?
That's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. It could be true, but it's absolutely unbelievable. 15 million to do what?
15.
15. To do what? Is it stationary? Meanwhile, people are crying that, oh no, universities should not charge much in terms of internally generated revenue. That's on the one hand. Okay, now where are they going to get the differential? Where? I don't know. But, well, maybe this is where alumni associations should also come in.
Okay.
Yes, alumni associations can help in this regard. They have a lot of people. Some ministers, many of the ministers are alumni of Nigerian universities. Let them also contribute whatever they are getting from the center on their own. Let them contribute to help their universities back home. Okay? A lot of ministers went through the University of Benin. That I know very well. And I don't want to mention names, but I know of ministers who went through this university. Let them organize themselves properly and help out. It's an emergency. Okay? So that's my take.
All right, thank you so much, sir. Like I would always say, always an interesting session with Dr. Emmanuel Egariba. On this note, I'll say thanks for joining us on the newspaper analysis segment. Don't go away as the interview segment comes up soon.